Hi everyone, this is the Coach to Coach conversation podcast, and today I sit down with Henry, who is a runner and the coach, and we are talking a little bit about what he does, why coaching, and his story really. So, welcome, Harry. Nice to see you here.
Nice to see you, Sophie. Thanks for having me. I've been looking forward to this.
Thank you so much. So, as I told to the listeners, we are talking about how you became a coach.
Yeah, thank you. So I began my own personal running journey in 2011, and about 3 years into it, I reached out for a coach because I needed help in improving.
Mm-hmm.
And I was with that coach for a couple years. And toward the end of that time, I said, and she helped me improve my speed, become a better runner. I learned a lot and I really enjoyed it. And so I asked her, I said, do you think I would have what it takes to be a coach? And she said, absolutely. And she walked me through what I would need to do. And part of that was to get my Roadrunners of America certification. It's a
Mm-hmm.
weekend class on site. And as I was doing that, I reached out to three friends who were runners who from time to time would ask me questions about their own running. And I said, hey, I'll make you guys a deal. I'll give you guys free coaching, free training plans.
Mm-hmm.
You get, you know, coaching, I get experience. And once I get my certification, if you want to continue, that's great. But since I'll, be certified coach, there'll be a fee like any of the other clients I get. And all three stayed with me. And that was
Wow.
6 or 7 years ago. And actually, I still have one of the original three as part of my stable of runners right now. And
Wow.
there's nothing better than seeing my athletes succeed at their goals.
Do you just train them or coach them how to be better physically and run more? Or do you do some sort of mental preparation as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think of myself as part counselor,
Mm-hmm.
part nurse, maybe part um, cheerleader, and
Yeah.
also part doing the math and getting them the workouts they need to succeed. One of my athletes, actually, in a couple hours from now, we're going to have a consulting call. She came to me because she, I believe, is in her 50s, and she
Mm-hmm.
wanted to run a faster marathon and maybe qualify for Boston. And she kind of struggled without being on her own. And one thing we worked through with her was a lot of GI issues that she experienced
Mm-hmm.
while running. And so that's actually been a really big part of her training now that she's a week and a half away from her goal marathon. And for
Mm-hmm.
the past couple weeks, she has not had a single GI issue. So we figured out what it was. It was a nutritional product she'd used for a long time. And as we
Mm-hmm.
worked through it and discovered, well, that just didn't sit well in her stomach. So she's doing great. And I really think that she's going to knock it out of the park when she lines up at that marathon in just another 10 days or so.
Oh, very nice. And what was the most memorable moment for you? Because obviously runners succeed, but was any outstanding one?
Yeah, I think the one that stands out is that one of the original three,
Mm-hmm.
her name is Cameron. She's a friend, she's a coworker, and she is in her early 50s. She did some short distance triathlons back in her teens, but she got inspired by, seeing me run and talking about it in the office and wanted to get back into it. And her goal was to run a marathon. And I knew just based on, her metrics and how dedicated she was and everything I put on training plan, she would do. She's
Ah,
a
nice.
a model.
Determined, right?
Yeah, determined model client. And I didn't tell her this, but I thought she had a real good shot at qualifying for Boston in her first
Mhm.
marathon, and she absolutely did. She ran it last year. That was her third or fourth marathon, and not only did
Mhm.
she qualify at the very first one, she's qualified at every single marathon that she's run. So she's
Yeah.
doing amazing. And the fact that, I got her with her dedication to her first marathon, and she achieved this goal that she didn't even know she had of qualifying for Boston in the same races. Was really special to me.
Yeah, yeah. I have a lot of questions, but first, if someone go to you, right? So basically, everyone can be a runner. Everyone is capable of doing the marathon. Or have you ever had a situation when you needed to say that, unfortunately, this is not for you because XYZ reasons?
No, I think anyone can be a runner. I mean, certainly, there are people with various physical challenges that may prevent them from I guess running at all in some
Mm-hmm.
cases.
Mm-hmm.
But there are others who, maybe they're dealing with something that um, might hold them back or
Mm-hmm.
limit any progress they could make. But I'm happy to work with, anybody who has, a goal in mind of to running. And goals can be anything from I want to run my first 5K or I want to do a 5K and maybe it's going to be a run walk.
Yeah.
And that's great. That's amazing if that's where you are in your running and fitness journey. And it could be, somebody, I just had one of my athletes, he's done a couple of marathons and through work, he was able to enter into this challenge. It's called the 29029 challenge, which is the
Okay, what is?
height of Everest in feet. And so I don't know if they do any overseas. In America, they have, I think this company puts on maybe like 4 or 5 of these where you literally walk or hike up a mountain.
Mm-hmm.
His was 13 times to get that elevation of
Wow.
29,029 feet, which has nothing to do with running, but it was
Yeah.
amazing cross training. And so we were able to train him and he finished it. But that's another, amazing goal. And, whether it's somebody doing their first ultra, first 5K, first whatever, or a fast
Yes.
time for them, it's all epic. I want my runners to be able to dream big and help them get to their goals.
I was a runner. I really liked that. I never had a coach. I just did it myself. I pushed my boundaries, more and more and more. And it gave me a peace of mind. It gave me relaxation. I just disconnected from the everyday circle when I was running. What running does to you or gives to you, Henry, as a person? Because you coach so many people, but obviously you love this sport as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I started out with the goal of running a marathon, which was literally on my bucket list. And, through running, it's been both a boost, for mental wellness and also for my fitness.
Mm-hmm.
And it also is something where it helps me redefine what's possible. And
Mm-hmm.
I really like that about running. And not every run is going to be a good one. And that's one thing I preach to my athletes.
Yes.
They may have a bad long run a couple weeks before their marathon. And I say that is the absolutely perfect time. Get it out of your system now. You want that bad run in training, not on race day. It
Yeah.
happens to all of us. Just move on. And, I think for me, that's a lot of lessons learned. We learn while running that we can apply to other things in life. Like
Yes.
a bad run, you might have a bad day at the office. And that doesn't mean that you're a bad employee or a bad worker. It means that,
Yes.
it just wasn't your day. And the sun will come out tomorrow and it could be the best day of work that you've had in months or years or whatever. And I think it's also just proving to ourselves mentally that, we can do hard things. And that hard thing
Yes.
for one person is going to be different from another. And that's where I don't want athletes to fall into the comparison trap.
Yes.
It's, don't look at the guy at the starting line next to you and compare yourself to him or try to run as fast as him. Just you're on your own journey.
Yes.
And
I
whatever
really
you're
like
doing is
this.
awesome.
Yeah, I really like this that you tell them don't compare yourself to others because it's your unique journey. With the running, I was just thinking meanwhile you were talking about, bad day, good day. really and truly, when I was running, I needed to be there physically, mentally, emotionally. And that time I ran the best. And I was the proudest of myself. Behind you, I can see a lot of medals.
Yeah.
Which one is the biggest one for you? I know you are proud of all of them, but obviously everyone has their favorite stories, right?
Yeah. I think my first 100 mile, it's actually a buckle um race is probably the one that stands out the most. Um
Mhm.
that was like I talked about, we redefine our possibilities or what's possible for us. And
Yes.
I was inspired and then am still inspired to get into the Western States 100, which is
Hmm.
probably North America's most famous and cherished 100-mile race. And so I started that journey in 2019 when I did Rio del Lago, which is also in California. And the fact that I could finish with help of my pacers and crew 100 miles was a pretty amazing feeling. And
Yeah.
that really helped redefine for me what is possible.
Yeah. What would you say the listener or listeners who just thinking about starting their running journey, what is the best advice how they need to start or should start the
Mhm.
whole approach?
I think it is be consistent. And my first run when I started my journey was about 1.6 miles down our street, and I stopped 3 times, puked in a driveway when I got back, and
Mhm.
thought I was going to die.
Wow,
Um,
yes.
I realized at that point that I was more out of shape than I thought I was. So I committed myself to building up my cardio first, and then uh, a number of weeks later, I forget exactly how many, I went back out, did that same route,
Hmm.
didn't pause, didn't stop, didn't puke in a driveway when I got back, and I thought, all right, I built myself up enough where I can do this. And then through consistency, I ran 3 or 4 days a week, whatever it was, and
Hmm.
has just built on, it's one brick at a time. It's building a house. You build that foundation, elevate your fitness, and then keep going from there. But if you keep showing up with regularity, then that's how the magic happens.
Yes, yes. Would you say it's patience as well? People need to be patient and not losing the encouragement here and there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It took me, I mentioned Cameron, my athlete who
Yeah.
qualified in
Yeah.
her, for Boston in her very first marathon. It took me, I think, 12 marathons before I
Wow.
qualified. And that's part of the reason why I went to a coach first, because in my second marathon, I improved by a minute. And
Mhm.
after probably another six or so,
Mhm.
I had gotten faster, but I was still a good 30 minutes away from qualifying for my age group at the time. And I was also injuring myself because I didn't uh, know what I was doing. And so that's why I reached out for a coach, that was having patience in, trying to get better and trying new things. And then, reaching out to a professional when I could only
Yeah,
get myself so far.
yeah, yeah. It's great to hear. And how people can work with you. So you only work face to face and you do run with them, see them running and correct them or advise them how to do to progress even more, or you can do it online as well.
Almost all of my athletes, I've actually never met face to face.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, Cameron is two, one of only two of my athletes who I've ever actually run with.
Uh-huh.
And so I have 19 overall right now. And so my athletes are primarily in the US, but I do have some overseas as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've coached athletes. I have a couple in the UK right now, a woman from France. I
Oh, nice.
coached, and she's on a pause right now while her and her husband move. I have a runner in Canada. I used to have a couple in Asia.
Wow, nice.
The way I work with athletes is kind of understand, their goals, their fitness history, where they are as an athlete. And then I apply a similar but specific training plan where
Okay.
I have fundamentals that I think work for athletes. But at the same time, I base their specific workouts on what I see as far as their fitness level and their goals.
Mm-hmm.
So it's customized for sure. And
Mm-hmm.
then each week, um, we we share the training plan on a shared Google document, so I can
Okay,
see
yeah.
see what they've done in the past week, and then I can adapt their plan in the next. I usually have it 2 to 3 weeks out for every athlete
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
at a time, so I can adapt it if they're progressing better than I expected,
Mm-hmm.
or they, have an injury and we need to just take a couple days off just to
Yes.
let it heal. Then we can adapt it, and I've adapted it same day for some people. I did that earlier this week
Yeah.
when client had a work trip all of a sudden come up and said, I can't, do this run. Here's days I could move it to. And, it
Okay,
was,
yeah, yeah.
through email, we just shifted around the days and it'll be fine.
So you can do online then, and it's usually a weekly consultation basis until and unless the goal is not achieved. It can be years long, it can be weeks long. Really and truly depends on the individual, as I understand this, right?
Yep.
So it's good. It's good. You are flexible. You really customize your coaching style to the individual itself. We all, I mean, coaches, we learn about values, willingness, willpower as well. What was your biggest motivation, not just in running, in life, and in general?
Um, I've had a series of motivations. Some of them are event or goal driven,
Yeah.
like running that first marathon, and then it became running Boston, and now it's the pursuit to get into and finish Western States. I'm also motivated by, the realization that we have a short time on this planet, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to I want to be able to do and explore through running as much as I can. Another goal I have, or not goal, but another, I guess, mantra I have, and this is sometimes, I'm an early morning runner. I
Mm-hmm.
do the vast majority at 0 dark 30 when most
Wow.
people are sleeping and it's dark, and sometimes it's raining or sometimes it's snow and ice here. But I just
Wow.
know that, someday it'll be a day when I can no longer run, and today is not that day. So that's
Nice. Yeah.
going to help get me out of bed and continue to pursue these goals, and that does serve as a motivation when I'm groggy and it's dark and it's cold and it's you know uh,
Yeah.
and the bed is right there and it's warm, but
Yeah.
that's the motivation factor for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And you are still capable of waking up and run what you said, because there will be a day when you will just see the runners and remember, oh, one day I was doing this.
Yeah.
And what next for you, Henry? What is your next challenge in terms of another marathon or anything else?
So I'm actually doing what should probably be my first road marathon. I've been focusing more on roads or focusing more on trails and ultras
Mhm.
the past few years, but it should be my first road marathon other than one that was canceled mid-race since Boston 19. So
Mhm.
not sure exactly when this will come out. It might actually come out right about the time, but in 5 weeks from the time we're recording this, I'll be running the marathon in Richmond, Virginia, which is about
Mhm.
2 hours from our nation's capital in Washington, D.C. So I'm looking forward to that. And as far as 2025, hopefully I'll have a shot to get into Western states that year. I will know later this year when they do the drawing and see if one of my tickets is lucky enough to get drawn.
Ah, okay. So do you usually just work within the US or sometimes go out and do running outside of the country as well?
Uh, I would love to run outside. I haven't had that opportunity yet, but yeah, so far I've just done races in the US. I did have the opportunity to run the Honolulu Marathon when I was in Hawaii at the same time, so
Wow,
still in the US,
nice
but
scenery, I
yeah,
would say.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, all right. So this could be your next goal, run somewhere else other than the US, because there are so many great things, great sceneries, and I know that running is very popular basically everywhere in the world. So yes, you need to just pick and choose your next challenge maybe for 2026.
Yeah, I've tried to put into both London and Berlin marathons, and those are challenging to get into. So
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
trying both of those for sure.
Yeah, if you come to London, definitely let me know. I would love to meet you in person and cheer you as well. So,
That'd be great.
yes, great. If people would like to work with you
Mhm.
because they feel connected throughout this podcast, how they can connect you, could you tell us, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that opportunity. Yeah, again, my name is Henry Howard, and I have a website called runspirited.com. So run and then SPIRITED.com. From there, there's a link where you can contact me directly. You can also sign up for my newsletter, which goes out on Mondays, Monday Motivation, all about things running. And on the socials, with an unusual first name, I was able to grab Henry Howard on Twitter, Threads, and Instagram, and LinkedIn as well. And my Run Spirited also has accounts on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So you can certainly follow me all those places and reach out, connect with me on LinkedIn or any of the socials. And happy to talk with anyone. I offer free consultations with prospective clients just to make sure that we're a good fit.
Yes.
And yeah, happy to help anybody out to their awesome running goals.
This is just fantastic. I really like your approach, how you help people, and really it's just um, basically international approach. I didn't know that you can be a running coach without actually being physically there and running with your coaches. So it's just fantastic. And as you said, you give a 360 package because you are a nurse, you are a coach, you are a big supporter of your clients. So definitely, I believe it's your body, mind, and soul work what you put in and what your client put in this. Thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed the conversation with you. I learned a lot about what is uh, being a coach and how I can progress with a coach if I want to run seriously and I have a goal, let's say a marathon. But yes, it's for me at the moment, it's a really, really big one, or it would be. It's like 42 kilometers or maybe more, right?
Yeah, 42.
Oh, yes, yes. So I think about you and your current clients, the 19 ones, and I'm sure that they will achieve their goal with you because you are an excellent coach, whatever I heard so far. So thank you so much again.
Well, thank you, Sophie. I really enjoyed our conversation and thank you for what you're doing for coaches like myself. And I can't wait to listen to all the other coaches and learn from them.
Thank you. Take good care.
All right. Thank you, Sophie.
Bye bye.